Commander HFY stared at the blue and green planet spinning slowly on his ship's main screen. His three eyes blinked in different patterns as he tried to make sense of what he was seeing. The planet looked beautiful from space, but his sensors told a different story. "Science Officer Krellin, run the planetary scan again," HFY said, his voice carrying the slight whistle that all members of his species made when they were worried. Krellin's long fingers danced over the control panel. Her skin changed from light blue to dark purple, which meant she was confused. "Commander, the readings are the same. This planet registers as Class 12 on the danger scale. High gravity, dangerous atmosphere, unstable weather patterns, and way too much radiation from their star." HFY nodded. Class 12 worlds were considered very dangerous. Most intelligent life could not survive on anything above Class 8. But their long-range sensors had picked up radio signals from this planet. Someone was down there, and they were trying to communicate with the stars. "Maybe it's just a few survivors living in underground bunkers," suggested Navigator Thixpo from his station. His forearms moved nervously as he spoke. "We've seen that before on other dangerous worlds. The Galactic Confederation had rules about first contact. When they found new intelligent life, they had to be careful. They had to study the species first and make sure contact would not hurt either side. HFY had done this job for 20 cycles, and he was good at it. "Take us into orbit," he ordered. "But keep our shields up and stay ready to jump to hyperspace, if anything goes wrong." As their ship got closer to the planet, the sensors started picking up more signals, not just radio waves, but thousands of them. Television broadcasts, internet traffic, satellite communications, and something that looked like a global network of information sharing. "Commander," Krellin said, her voice shaking a little, "I'm reading massive cities down there. Millions of structures. The electromagnetic signature suggests a population in the billions." HFY felt his blood temperature drop. Billions of beings living on a Class 12 death world? That was impossible. No species could build cities on a planet that dangerous. The gravity alone should crush most life forms. "Are you sure the sensors are working right?" he asked. "I've checked them 3 times, Krellin replied. "But Commander, there's something else. I think our classification system made a mistake." She pressed some buttons and the main screen changed to show detailed sensor readings. Numbers and charts filled the display, but HFY could read them easily. His training had taught him to understand planetary classifications better than most beings in the galaxy. What he saw made his 3 hearts skip beats. "This can't be right," he whispered. The gravity was not just high for most species. It was 3 times stronger than the standard gravity that most galactic civilizations could handle. The atmospheric pressure would crush most beings instantly. The oxygen levels were so high that many species would literally catch fire if they tried to breathe it. But that was not the worst part. "Krellin, what does this say about their star's radiation output?" Her skin turned almost black, which meant she was scared. "Commander, if these readings are correct, this planet gets hit with radiation levels that would kill most of us in hours. And look at this weather data. Temperature swings of over 50 degrees. Storm systems with winds that could knock down our shuttles. Electrical storms that discharge more power than some of our weapons." HFY looked at the readings again and again. Each time, they told the same, impossible story. "Navigator Thixpo, double-check our classification computers. What danger class is this planet really?" Thixpo worked quietly for several minutes. When he looked up, all 4 of his arms were shaking. "Commander, according to our most accurate sensors and the official Galactic Confederation classification system, this planet is not Class 12. "What class is it?" "Class 20, sir." The bridge went completely quiet. Class 20 was the highest rating in their system. It meant a planet was so dangerous that even visiting it would probably kill you. In the entire history of the Galactic Confederation, they had only found 3 Class 20 worlds. All of them were empty of life. "That's impossible," HFY said. "Nothing can live on a Class 20 death world. Our scientists proved that centuries ago. But the evidence was right there on their screens. Cities that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. lights that showed millions of beings moving around, flying machines crossing the skies, ships moving across the dangerous oceans. This planet was not just alive with intelligent life. It was crowded with it. Should we contact the Confederation Council? Asked Krell, and Zexai thought about it. If he reported this, they would think he was making a mistake or that his equipment was broken. No one would believe that billions of intelligent beings were living and thriving on the most dangerous type of planet in the galaxy. Not yet, he decided. We need to learn more first. We need to understand what these beings are and how they survive down there. He turned to his communications officer, a quiet being named Plixar who had 6 eyes and could see many different types of light. Plixar, can you decode their communication signals? Already working on it, Commander. Their language patterns are complex, but I think I can figure them out. They seem to have hundreds of different languages, but one appears to be used for international communication. Over the next few hours, the crew worked to understand the beings on the planet below. What they learned made them more confused and frightened. These beings called themselves humans. They had built a global civilization on a planet that should have killed them all. They had created art, music, literature, and science. They had split atoms and traveled to their moon. They were planning missions to other planets in their system. And they did it all while living on a world that the Galactic Confederation's best scientists said was completely impossible to survive on. Commander, Plixar said suddenly, I'm picking up a transmission that seems to be directed at space. I think they know we're here. Zexai looked at the translation on his screen. The message was simple, but it changed everything. Hello, visitors from the stars. We are humans from the planet Earth. We welcome you in peace and friendship. Please respond if you can understand this message. For the first time in his long career, Commander Zexai realized he had no idea what to do next. Dr. Sarah Chen stepped through the strange door that appeared to be made of light itself. She had volunteered to be the first human to board the alien ship when they finally made contact 3 days ago. The excitement of first contact with alien life was something she had dreamed about since she was a child studying biology. What she did not expect was the look of terror on the aliens' faces when they saw her. Please do not move too quickly, said the alien who had introduced himself as Chief Medical Officer Vrental. His voice came through a translation device that made him sound nervous. We need to scan you first to make sure you are not carrying any dangerous substances. Sarah stood still as blue lights moved over her body. The scanning took much longer than she expected. She could see the alien medical team looking at their instruments with what she could only describe as panic. Is everything okay? She asked. Vrental made a sound that the translator said was similar to a gasp. Human Sarah, we need to ask you some questions about your biology. Please do not be alarmed, but our scanners are showing readings that seem impossible. Sarah smiled. I'm a biologist myself. I'm happy to answer any questions about human physiology. The alien doctor looked at his notes, and Sarah noticed his hands were shaking. According to our scans, you are carrying approximately 37 trillion microorganisms inside your body right now. Many of these appear to be bacteria and viruses that our computers classify as potentially lethal. Are you currently dying from multiple diseases? Sarah laughed, which made all the aliens in the room step backward. Oh no, that's completely normal. Those are mostly helpful bacteria that live in my digestive system. They help me break down food and fight off actual harmful germs. We call it our microbiome. Vrental's skin changed to a pale yellow color. You intentionally keep deadly organisms inside your body, and they help you survive? Well, yes. We couldn't live without them. Don't your species have beneficial bacteria? We sterilize our bodies regularly to prevent any contamination, Vrental said. The idea of willingly hosting billions of microorganisms is terrifying to us. Sarah was starting to understand that humans might be very different from other intelligent life in the galaxy. What else are you seeing in your scans? Another alien doctor, who was much taller and had blue skin, spoke up. Your bone density is approximately 4 times higher than what we would consider normal. Your muscle tissue appears to be designed for extreme physical stress, and your cardiovascular system seems built to handle massive increases in blood pressure and heart rate. That makes sense, Sarah said. We evolved in Earth's gravity and atmosphere. Our bodies had to be strong enough to handle the environment. But Your environment would kill most galactic species, the blue alien said. The atmospheric pressure alone would crush our bones. How do you survive breathing that oxygen-rich atmosphere? Oxygen-rich? Sarah asked. I thought Earth's atmosphere was pretty standard, about 21% oxygen. Every alien in the room made sounds of alarm. Vrental checked his scanner again. Human Sarah, that oxygen concentration would cause most of our species to combust spontaneously. We can only survive in atmospheres with 3 to 5% oxygen maximum. Sarah was beginning to realize just how different Earth was from other worlds. What about the gravity? What's normal gravity for your species? Standard galactic gravity is approximately 1/3 of what your planet generates, said the tall, blue alien. We are wearing special support suits right now just to keep our bones from breaking under the stress of being near your gravity field. This was fascinating to Sarah from a scientific perspective, but she could see it was deeply disturbing to the aliens. Is there anything else about my biology that concerns you? Vrental looked at his notes again. Your scans show evidence that you regularly consume substances that our computers classify as toxins. Caffeine, ethanol, capsaicin, and dozens of other compounds that would be considered poisonous to most life forms. Oh, you mean coffee, alcohol, and spicy food, Sarah said. Yes, humans enjoy those things. They're not really harmful in normal amounts. You consume poisons for enjoyment? The blue alien asked, his voice getting higher. Well, when you put it that way, it sounds bad, Sarah admitted. But those substances give us pleasure or help us stay alert. Our bodies can process them safely. Vrental made more notes, but his hands were shaking even more now. Human Sarah, we need to ask about your healing capabilities. Our scans suggest that your body can repair damage that would be fatal to most species. What do you mean? Your bone structure shows evidence of multiple fractures that have healed completely. Your skin shows signs of cuts and burns that have regenerated. Most concerning, your immune system appears to have fought off dozens of infections that our medical databases list as incurable diseases. Sarah thought about her life. She had broken her arm as a child, had chicken pox, survived the flu multiple times, and had various cuts and scrapes over the years. To her, this was just normal life. I guess humans are pretty good at healing, she said. Our immune systems are designed to fight off lots of different threats. Designed? Vrental asked. Did an advanced species genetically modify your race for survival? No, we evolved naturally on Earth. Our planet has lots of diseases, dangerous animals, extreme weather, and natural disasters. Only the strongest humans survived to have children, so over millions of years, we became very tough. The alien medical team exchanged looks that Sarah could not interpret, but the translation device was picking up words like impossible, unprecedented, and terrifying. Human Sarah, Vrental said finally, we need to ask you about your star's radiation. Our sensors show that your planet receives radiation levels that would cause immediate cell death in most galactic species. How do you protect yourselves? Protect ourselves? Sarah asked. From sunlight? We don't really protect ourselves most of the time. Some humans actually try to get more sun exposure because they enjoy it. We call it sunbathing. This time, all the aliens in the room made alarm sounds at once. You intentionally expose yourselves to deadly radiation for pleasure? The blue alien asked. It's not deadly to us, Sarah explained. I mean, too much can cause problems, but normal sun exposure is healthy. Our bodies make vitamin D from sunlight. Vrental looked like he was about to faint if aliens could faint. Human Sarah, I think we need to inform our commanders that your species may be the most resilient life forms ever discovered in the galaxy. Sarah smiled again, causing the aliens to step back once more. Really? That's exciting. What makes you think that? Because you live comfortably in conditions that would kill the rest of us in minutes, Vrental said. And you seem to think it's completely normal. Commander Zexai watched through the observation screen as Dr. Sarah Chen prepared to show them what she called a normal day in human life. After the shocking discoveries about human biology, the alien crew had requested to see how humans actually lived on their dangerous planet. We want to understand your daily survival activities, Zexai had told Sarah. Show us how humans managed to stay alive in such a hostile environment. Sarah had smiled, that terrifying human expression that showed her bone-white teeth. Sure, I'll take you to see some typical human activities. We can start at a playground where children play. Now, as they watched the video feed from Sarah's portable camera, the entire alien crew was gathered on the bridge. What they saw made them question everything they thought they knew about survival. The first location was something Sarah called a playground. The aliens watched in horror as small human offspring, barely a meter tall, threw themselves from high platforms onto hard surfaces. The children seemed to enjoy hanging from metal bars that could easily break their necks if they fell wrong. "Are those young humans being tortured?" asked Navigator Thixpo, his forearms trembling. Sarah's voice came through the communication device. "Oh no, they're just playing. Kids love playgrounds. It helps them develop strength and coordination." On the screen, a small human child climbed to the top of a tall metal structure and then slid down a smooth surface at dangerous speed. When the child reached the bottom, instead of crying in pain, it laughed and ran back to do it again. The small humans are voluntarily engaging in activities that could result in serious injury, observed Science Officer Kralin. And they appear to be enjoying the danger. "Human children are tougher than they look," Sarah explained. "A few bumps and scrapes are normal. It's how they learn." The next activity Sarah showed them was even more disturbing. She took them inside a human dwelling and showed them a small room filled with scalding hot water vapor. "This is my shower," Sarah said, stepping into the steaming chamber. "Humans clean themselves with hot water every day." The temperature readings on their sensors showed that the water was hot enough to cause severe burns to most galactic species. Yet Sarah stood directly under the flowing water as if it was perfectly comfortable. "She is being bombarded with liquid at near-boiling temperatures," whispered Medical Officer Vrental. "Her skin should be melting off her bones." Instead, Sarah emerged from the water chamber looking refreshed and healthy. Her skin was slightly red from the heat, but she showed no signs of pain or injury. "Feels great," she said cheerfully. "Nothing like a hot shower to start the day." The aliens exchanged terrified glances. What kind of species considered torture devices to be relaxing daily activities? Sarah's next stop was something she called a kitchen. She began preparing what she called breakfast, but the aliens quickly realized they were watching a human consume chemical weapons. "This is coffee," Sarah said, drinking a dark liquid that their sensors identified as containing dangerous levels of caffeine. "And I like to add some hot sauce to my eggs." She poured a red liquid onto her food that registered as a Class 3 chemical irritant on their sensors. Then she ate it as if it was the most normal thing in the galaxy. "The human is consuming caustic chemicals that would burn through our digestive systems," reported the ship's computer. "Toxicity levels are off the charts." Sarah noticed their concern through the communication device. "Is something wrong? You all sound worried. You are eating substances that our computers classify as weapons," Zexhai said carefully. Sarah laughed, which always made the aliens nervous. "Hot sauce isn't a weapon. It just adds flavor. Some humans eat much spicier food than this." Before anyone could respond, Sarah added more of the red liquid to her food and continued eating. The aliens watched in fascination and horror as she not only survived the chemical assault but seemed to enjoy it. After breakfast, Sarah said she was going to show them recreational activities. The aliens hoped this would be something peaceful, like meditation or art appreciation. Instead, Sarah took them to a large field where humans were engaged in what could only be described as ritualistic combat. "This is a soccer game," Sarah explained, as they watched two groups of humans chase a ball across a field. "It's one of our most popular sports." The aliens watched in shock as humans deliberately ran into each other at high speeds. Bodies collided and fell to the ground, only to get up and continue fighting for control of the ball. The impacts were hard enough to knock down most galactic species permanently. "Are they fighting to the death?" asked Krellin. "No, it's just a game," Sarah said. "The goal is to get the ball into the other team's goal. Physical contact is part of the sport." "They are voluntarily subjecting themselves to repeated physical trauma for entertainment," Vrental observed. "Pretty much," Sarah agreed. Humans love competitive sports. Some of our games are much more physical than soccer. The final shock came when dark clouds began forming in the sky above them. The ship's sensors detected massive electrical activity building in the atmosphere. Lightning bolts began striking the ground around the area where Sarah was standing. "Human Sarah, you must take shelter immediately," HFY commanded. "Those electrical discharges could kill you instantly." But instead of running for cover, Sarah looked up at the storm clouds with obvious pleasure. "Oh, I love thunderstorms. They're so beautiful and powerful." Other humans around her were not fleeing either. Some were actually standing outside, letting the water from the storm fall on them. Children were splashing in puddles formed by the dangerous precipitation. "The humans are not seeking shelter from the electromagnetic bombardment," reported the ship's computer in what sounded like mechanical confusion. "It's just rain," Sarah said, holding out her hand to catch the falling water. "Rain is good for plants and crops. Most humans enjoy watching storms as long as they're not too dangerous." Lightning struck a tree less than 100 meters from where Sarah was standing. She looked at it with interest rather than terror. "That was a close one," she said calmly. "Maybe I should head inside now." As Sarah finally walked toward a building, the alien crew sat in stunned silence. Everything they had witnessed defied their understanding of how intelligent life should behave. "Commander," said Navigator Thixpo quietly, "I think we need to reconsider our classification of this species." "What do you mean?" HFY asked. "We've been thinking of humans as prey animals who somehow survived on a dangerous world," Thixpo said. "But prey animals run from danger. They don't seek it out for entertainment." Kreelan's skin changed to a deep purple color that indicated deep thought. "The small humans train for danger from an early age. The adults consume toxins for pleasure. They engage in physical combat as recreation, and they don't fear electrical storms that could kill them." Frental looked at his medical scanner readings from the day. "Their entire culture seems built around activities that would terrify or kill most galactic species." HFY stared at the planet below them, where billions of these impossible beings lived their daily lives in conditions that would destroy most civilizations. "What kind of species are we dealing with?" he whispered. None of them had an answer, but they were all beginning to suspect that they had discovered something far more dangerous than a species that survived on a death world. They had discovered a species that thrived on it. Commander HFY sat in his private quarters, staring at the data files about human behavior. 3 days had passed since they first observed human daily activities, and he could not stop thinking about what they had seen. Something about the humans bothered him in a way he could not explain. A soft chime announced that Science Officer Krellin was requesting entry. "Come in," he said. Krellin entered with her arms full of data tablets. Her skin was cycling through colors rapidly, which meant she was excited about something important. "Commander, I think I figured out what makes humans so different from every other species we know." "Go on," HFY said, setting down his own tablet. "I've been studying their evolutionary history and hunting patterns," Krellin explained, her skin settling on a bright orange that indicated discovery. "Commander, humans are not prey animals that learn to survive on a dangerous world. They are predators. Apex predators." HFY felt his blood temperature drop. "That's impossible. Intelligent species don't evolve from predators. Every member of the Galactic Confederation evolved from prey animals who developed intelligence to escape danger." "That's what I thought too," Krellin said, spreading her tablets across his desk. "But look at this data. Humans have forward-facing eyes for judging distance to targets. Their teeth are designed for tearing meat. Their hands are perfect for gripping tools and weapons." She pulled up an image of human anatomy on one of the tablets. "But that's not the most frightening part. Look at their locomotion data." The screen showed videos of humans running. At first it looked normal to HFY. Then Krellin began explaining what they were really seeing. "Humans are persistence hunters, Commander. Do you know what that means?" HFY shook his head. He had never heard that term before. It means they don't kill their prey quickly like most predators. Instead, they chase their prey for hours or even days until the animal collapses from exhaustion. Then they kill it. The implications hit Zexhai like a physical blow. You mean they just keep coming? They never stop chasing? Never, Krillin confirmed. I found records of humans chasing prey animals for over 26 hours without stopping. The prey would run until its heart exploded from stress and the humans would still be running behind it. Zexhai's 3 hearts began beating faster. In all his years of studying galactic species, he had never encountered anything so terrifying. Most predators killed quickly or gave up if the hunt took too long. The idea of a predator that never stopped hunting was the stuff of nightmares. There's more, Krillin continued. I looked into their recorded history. Commander, humans have survived ice ages that lasted thousands of years. They've lived through volcanic eruptions that blocked out their sun for months. They've survived plagues that killed most of their population and then rebuilt their civilizations. She pulled up another tablet showing human historical records. Every time their species faced extinction, they found a way to survive. Not by running away or hiding, but by adapting and fighting back. How is that possible? Zexhai asked. Because they're persistence predators, Commander. It's not just how they hunt animals, it's how they approach every challenge. They never give up. Ever. Zexhai stood up and began pacing around his small quarters. This new information changed everything. The Galactic Confederation was built on the assumption that all intelligent species were naturally peaceful because they evolved from prey animals. Prey animals developed intelligence, technology, and cooperation to escape danger. But humans had developed intelligence, technology, and cooperation to become better predators. Krillin, have you shared this information with the rest of the crew? Not yet, Commander. I wanted to tell you first, but there's something else you need to know. She pulled up a final tablet that showed comparative data between humans and other galactic species. I analyzed the psychological profiles we've gathered. Commander, every species in the Confederation shares certain mental traits. We all have strong fear responses to danger. We all prefer to avoid conflict when possible. We all stop fighting when we realize we can't win. And humans? Humans have something they call stubbornness. They consider it a positive trait. The more impossible a situation becomes, the more determined they become to succeed. What we would call giving up, they call quitting, and they teach their children that quitting is shameful. Zexhai sat down heavily in his chair. You're telling me that humans are genetically programmed to never surrender? It's worse than that, Krillin said quietly. I found records of something they call adrenaline. It's a chemical their bodies produce when they're in danger. But instead of making them want to escape like our fear hormones do, it makes them stronger, faster, and more focused. Humans literally become more dangerous when they're threatened. The room fell silent, as both aliens tried to process this information. Everything they had observed about human behavior suddenly made sense. The children playing on dangerous equipment were training to be fearless. The adults consuming toxins were building up resistance to harmful substances. The ritualistic combat was practice for real fighting. Commander, Krillin said softly, there's one more thing. I found something in their mythology and ancient stories. What? Every culture in the galaxy has myths about monsters that hunt in the darkness. Creatures that never stop chasing you, that never give up, that keep coming no matter how far you run. She paused. Commander, I think those myths are about species like humans. I think other predator species like humans have existed before, and our ancestors remembered them in stories. Zexhai felt a chill run through his body. Are you suggesting that humans are the monsters from our ancient myths? I'm suggesting that humans are what the monsters in our myths were based on, Krillin said. And now we've found them. Just then the communication system activated. Commander Zexhai, please report to the bridge immediately, came Navigator Thixpo's voice. We have a situation. Zexhai and Krillin hurried to the bridge, where they found the crew gathered around the main display screen. The screen showed space around Earth, but something was different. Commander? Thixpo said, his forearms pointing at different parts of the display. Human space vessels have been launching from their planet for the past 6 hours. We count over 50 ships, and more are launching every few minutes. Are they attacking us? Zexhai asked, though their shields showed no weapons fire. No, sir, said Communications Officer Plixar. We're receiving a message from the humans. They're asking if we need help. Help with what? Apparently their sensors detected some kind of distress signal from our ship. They think we might be in trouble, so they're sending rescue vessels. HFY stared at the screen showing dozens of human ships approaching their position. A species of persistence predators who never gave up was rushing toward them, not to attack but to offer assistance to strangers from another world. Commander, Plixar continued, the lead human ship is requesting permission to dock with us. They say they have medical supplies and emergency equipment in case we need it. HFY looked around the bridge at his crew. They had just learned that humans were probably the most dangerous predator species in the galaxy, and those same humans were risking their lives to help aliens they had never met before. Commander, Krellin said quietly, I think we need to reconsider our understanding of what predator species are capable of. Through the view screen, HFY could see the human ships getting closer. Each ship was filled with beings who had evolved to never stop hunting, never give up, and never surrender. But instead of hunting the aliens, they were coming to help them. For the first time since first contact, HFY began to think that maybe having humans in the galaxy might not be the terrifying disaster he had feared. Maybe it might be exactly what the galaxy needed. 6 months had passed since first contact with the humans, and the Galactic Confederation was facing the biggest crisis in its history. Commander HFY stood in the Great Assembly Hall on the capital world, watching as representatives from hundreds of species argued about what to do with Earth and its impossible inhabitants. They're too dangerous to be allowed into the Confederation, declared Ambassador Yixtel from the Rigel system. His species had evolved from small prey animals that lived in underground tunnels, and the very idea of predators terrified him. We cannot trust beings who evolved to hunt and kill. But they saved the Kepler colony when the asteroid hit, argued Representative Morga from the Outer Rim. My people would have died if the humans hadn't arrived with emergency supplies in record time. HFY had been placed in charge of the Human Integration Committee, which was really just a fancy name for figuring out whether humans were too dangerous to exist near other galactic civilizations. It was the hardest job he had ever been given. In the months since first contact, humans had done things that both amazed and terrified the galaxy. When the mining accident happened on Vega Prime, human rescue teams had volunteered to go into collapsed tunnels that were too dangerous for anyone else. They had saved 47 miners who would have died waiting for proper rescue equipment. When pirates attacked a peaceful trading vessel near the Centauri system, human patrol ships had chased the attackers for 3 days across 2 star systems until the pirates finally surrendered. No other galactic species had ever shown such determination in pursuit of criminals. But it was the humans' reaction to the current crisis that really showed the galaxy what they were dealing with. 3 weeks ago, long-range sensors had detected a massive alien fleet approaching from outside the galaxy. The ships were unlike anything in the Confederation database, and early communication attempts had failed. The unknown aliens had destroyed 2 research stations without warning and were heading toward the heavily populated core worlds. Every species in the Confederation had the same reaction: run and hide. Evacuation fleets were being prepared. Entire worlds were being abandoned. The standard galactic response to overwhelming force was to retreat and try to negotiate from a safe distance. Humans had a different idea. Ladies and gentlemen of the Confederation, came a voice from the assembly floor. HFY looked down to see Dr. Sarah Chen standing at the speaker's podium. She had been elected as Earth's representative to the emergency session. We know you're all scared of this new threat, Sarah continued. We understand that your species evolved to survive by avoiding danger. That's smart. That's how you built this wonderful, peaceful civilization that we're honored to be part of. The assembly hall grew quiet. Even the species that feared humans the most had to admit that Sarah Chen was an impressive speaker. But humans evolved differently, she said. We evolved to face danger head-on, and right now the galaxy needs someone to face this threat. Ambassador Yixtel stood up. Are you suggesting that humans fight this invasion fleet alone? That's suicide. Their ships outnumber our entire Confederation Navy. Sarah smiled, that human expression that still made most aliens nervous. Ambassador, you're thinking like prey. Animals. You see a big threat and think about how to avoid it. Humans see a big threat and think about how to stop it. She activated a holographic display that showed the invasion fleet's projected path. These attackers are heading for your most populated worlds. Billions of innocent beings will die if they're not stopped. Every species in the Confederation is preparing to run away and let it happen. What else can we do? Asked Representative Morga. We're not warriors. We're explorers, scientists, and traders. You're right, Sarah agreed. You shouldn't have. To be warriors, that's what humans are for. The assembly erupted in confused chatter. HFY watched as hundreds of species tried to understand what humans were offering. Sarah waited for quiet, then continued. The human government has voted unanimously to defend the Confederation worlds. Our entire fleet is moving to intercept the invasion force. We're not asking for your ships or your soldiers. We're asking you to let us do what we do best. And what is that? Ambassador Yixtel asked. Hunt, Sarah said simply. The word sent a chill through every being in the assembly hall, but Sarah wasn't finished. For millions of years, humans chased prey that was bigger, stronger, and faster than us. We won by being smarter, more determined, and by never giving up. These invaders think they can scare you into submission because that's how it works with most civilizations. She paused and looked around the assembly hall. But they've never met persistence predators before. Over the next 2 weeks, the galaxy watched in amazement as the human fleet engaged the invasion force. The humans were outnumbered 10-1, but they didn't fight like any military the galaxy had ever seen. When human ships were damaged, they didn't retreat for repairs. They kept fighting until they were completely destroyed. When human crews were injured, they didn't request medical evacuation. They stayed at their posts until the battle was won. Most shocking of all, when the invasion fleet tried to retreat after realizing they were facing an enemy unlike anything they had encountered, the humans followed them. For 6 days, human ships chased the fleeing invaders across 3 star systems, picking off stragglers and preventing them from regrouping. The invasion force that had terrorized half the galaxy was completely destroyed. Not a single enemy ship escaped to report back to wherever they had come from. HFY received the final battle report while standing on the observation deck of the Confederation Capital Station. The cost had been heavy. Humanity had lost 60% of their fleet and thousands of crew members, but they had saved billions of galactic civilians and eliminated a threat that would have destroyed the peaceful civilization the Confederation had built. "Commander," came a voice behind him. He turned to see Dr. Sarah Chen approaching. She looked tired but satisfied. "Dr. Chen," he said, "I just received the casualty reports. I'm sorry for your losses." Sarah nodded sadly. "War is never easy. But those people died protecting something important. They died protecting the idea that peaceful civilizations should be allowed to exist. Is that what humans do?" HFY asked. "Protect peaceful civilizations?" Sarah looked out at the stars through the observation window. Every species in the galaxy evolved to survive by running from danger. You built a beautiful civilization based on cooperation, exploration, and learning. But civilizations like that need protectors. And humans are those protectors? Humans are what happens when evolution builds a species that can't run away from danger, Sarah said. We had to learn to face every threat our planet could throw at us. Ice ages, plagues, natural disasters, predators, and eventually each other. She turned to look at HFY. We learned that sometimes the only way to protect the things you love is to stand between them and the darkness. 1 month later, the Galactic Confederation voted unanimously to grant humans full membership and to establish Earth as the military headquarters for galactic defense. It was the first time in galactic history that a single species had been given responsibility for protecting all the others. Commander HFY was promoted to Admiral and put in charge of coordinating between human military forces and Confederation civilian governments. It was challenging work, but he had learned something important about the nature of predators. True predators didn't hunt because they enjoyed killing. They hunted to protect their pack, their territory, and their way of life. Humans had decided, that the entire galaxy was their pack now. As he watched human patrol ships heading out on their regular sweeps of the outer systems, Zexhai realized that the galaxy had never been safer. Not because there were no more threats, but because there was finally a species that would never stop hunting down those threats. The humans had been right about one thing. Sometimes civilizations needed monsters to protect them from other monsters. The galaxy was lucky that their monsters had decided to be the good guys.